when the clock hits 13. You've been working, but you're flirting with the weekend. You can freak out. 1 in a million. You're a gem shine when the light grows dim. Sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And I'm live. All right, good stuff. Welcome in, guys. Just finished up dinner over here. And if you didn't see it earlier, I posted a Q&A box over on Instagram. I printed off some good questions from you guys, so I thought we could hang out for 30 minutes and just connect. I haven't done this in so long. I used to do a lot of Q&As just as a way to connect in and elevate together, right? If I don't have answers for things, someone here will. There's a lot going on, isn't there? We're probably going to be a little lower in numbers today. There's quite a big group in Canada that can't get online today. Did you guys hear about that? They can't use their debit cards. They can't even dial 911 apparently. Can't use their phones, can't access the internet because they are if they're under the plan of Rogers, which is one of the big providers in Canada, maybe the biggest, maybe Bell's the biggest, I'm not sure, but there's a whole group of Canadians that can't get online or use their debit cards today. So yes, crippled half the country, someone just said online here. So we may have a smaller group than we normally do. I saw pictures today of people hovering around cafes because they just wanted to plug into the Wi-Fi of Starbucks or whatever. Little bit of an interesting panic, right? Because what it does show is, my goodness, what happens if everything was to ever go digital, right? That would be an interesting conundrum we may find ourselves in. And I think a lot of us are thinking, how can we do things now to avoid that? For example, there are groups around the country that will only use cash now because they don't want to see digital come in, full throttle, right? Because things like this happen. So anyway, welcome to all of you that can get online tonight. It's just about 8:00. Just wanted to hang out for 20 or 30 minutes and just connect. And I printed off some great questions from you guys. So I think we'll just dive into some things. And if you are on live, feel free to post some things below. And if there's something that I bring up as a question and I have no idea how to address or answer, then please let us know if you might be the expert in that area. No, ArriveCan app was working on the good note. No. Oh, you're saying ArriveCan was not working? Is that what you're saying? Well, that's a big positive. That's a beast right there, isn't it? Okay, I'm just going to go in no particular order. These are all over the place. Someone asked, what's something I'm learning more about lately? Sourdough. Have you guys seen some of my stories? I've been having so much fun learning about this. And I have to say, it's been a while since I have felt like I was the mega student again, and I love learning. I absolutely love learning new things, but this was like way over my head in so many ways when I first was diving in. How many of you work with sourdough? I'm sure so many of you do. You're probably like, wow, I'm 42 years old and I actually just learned how to work with it. Some of you have sourdough starters older than me that you're keeping alive in your kitchen successfully every week. So I have loved learning about this. And some of you wrote me when I first started to let me know some accounts to follow that were really fun. Ash Turner Farms, I think it is. She's in Canada. I took a class with her a couple of weekends ago. Ballerina Farm has been another one that a few of you recommended. That's been really helpful. So I have loved learning about that. And actually, when I took the class with Turner Farms a few weekends ago, it was really good for me because I forget what it would feel like to be learning something that's really overwhelming for the first time, such as how to use essential oils as natural healthcare, right? So, sometimes we teach classes all the time in our community and we forget what it's like for our customers sometimes be sitting there and hearing all of these new terms and all of these new ways to use them. And you kind of take that for granted when you've taught the same class so many times, and when you live something, right? So as this girl Ashley was teaching sourdough, for example, she's just throwing out all these terms, and I'm like looking them up as she's talking, and she's doing everything just so effortlessly, right? And anyway, I share that because if you are a teacher of anything, it's really good to put yourself in the seat of the student again. So I'd encourage you guys to find something new that you've been interested in and take a class on it, and just come back to that place of, wow, this is what it feels like, and it's exciting, and it actually made me excited to teach a class soon again. So okay, that's what I'm learning about right now. What's my favorite oil right now? I would say I would choose between two blends. The first is Aroma Touch blend. I mentioned this on here last week. It's just something I've been really drawn to because it's typically a blend that you'll reach for to work through the kinks, right? It's like a massage in a bottle. So I love to use it when I just feel like I'm releasing something, which we've been doing a lot of as a family. As many of you know, we've had a big life change, right? So I've been working with my various oils to just help me as I'm navigating a new life and really stepping in fully to the life I know we are here to live. And that's something that I'm always just very eagerly striving towards. And a lot of my work obviously promotes that idea. So the lab, the Beautiful Life Lab, some of you are in it who are on live here. I'm over on Facebook too. Hi guys. That is really what we do in there, is get super, super clear on what our values are so that we can work from that place to reconstruct and design our life to make sure that we are always living from our place of values. In fact, this has been something that God has really put on my heart lately of understanding with more compassion. What is actually happening right now is people are living from their values. It's just that all of our values aren't all the same, right? And so I say this gently because I've gone through a whole, roller coaster in trying to understand why, for example, more people wouldn't be standing up to things or even upset about things. I felt like many times throughout the last few years, I was like, hello, how are we not stopping this together? Why aren't you feeling this? And I really just came to this place of realizing my values were clearly different. Now, there can also be a situation which I do see evident in some people that I do know who are not actually living their values. They've actually collapsed on their values to, I call it going to the B-side values. So they've started wanting to feel their B-side or their cheaper values. They're going for those, and they're actually compromising on what's most important to them. So for example, there are a lot of people who things like freedom and health are values of theirs, but they also enjoy things like eating out at restaurants and traveling. And so they, at certain points throughout the last 2 years, have made decisions that gave them access to those B-side values in the moment. But what ended up happening was it created this ripple effect where you cannot avoid your most important values then being challenged and collapsing. So it's all about values. This is the place we come from in the Beautiful Life Lab. So this Sunday, I'm doing the quarterly live stream for that. I jump in live with that community every 3 months. And this is what's on my heart that I want to dive into a little more together as a group, because I think that right now it's really important that we all get super clear on what our most important values are. And I'll share with you guys, this became, even though I've always thought I was really clear on what mine are, they became abundantly clear to me when I felt like they were being taken. And freedom for me is a core value, like top of the charts. being free to move and speak and live and choose. That has turned out to be my most important value. And when I felt that was threatened, I didn't feel safe. Everything, and I started to feel these very heavy emotions towards my country, to a resentment towards people that maybe didn't share that same value as mine. And that's not fair to them, because maybe that's not a value of theirs, right? Health has always been something that's very important to me, but I didn't realize that it actually wasn't my number one. So it'd be my number two for sure. And it goes hand in hand with freedom. I want the freedom to be able to choose health as I define it, not how my government defines it. I believe fully in taking responsibility for our life and being able to do that, being able to make decisions from that place of owning our life and not having that be dictated to us. Those are very important things to me. So, all that to share that, the question that brought that up was, what's your favorite oil right now as you're going through big changes? And that's a roundabout way of how I took that. So next question. I want to try Doterra and possibly share them as a business, but not right away. How should I start? That's a good question. And I always like to clarify that actually most people don't do Doterra as a business. Most people just purchase the oils and products as a wholesale customer. So, but it's nice to have that business there should you want to tap into an additional stream of income in your life. Maybe you work full time, maybe you work a couple of part-time jobs and you just like to have multiple things on the go, which I think is super smart. You want to diversify your earning for sure. But I'm a big fan of starting in the way that specifically meets your needs first, even if you are a mother, or if you're thinking of other people in your life that you know would benefit from using natural health products and essential oils. I would say focus on yourself first right now to have healing in whatever area you're looking for. Maybe it's not necessarily healing as we typically define healing, but maybe it's more just achieving a small goal that you have for yourself within your health. And then that's going to make you excited to want to keep exploring. So I'm a big fan of, I like to design custom kits for people. In fact, I made 3 up this week. That's how 3 people got started with Doterra with me this week, was through custom kits. Because then you can get really just, why get a whole kit of oils that you're not sure how to use? Like really just go for that niche area. And then, if the business is something that you think you might be interested in, you can do that anytime down the road. You're in no commitment. You're in no commitment actually. You don't have to place monthly orders or anything when you get started with Doterra. How did you know it was time to leave Canada? Well, I kind of shared this a few minutes ago, but really for me, it was when I knew that my values were no longer being supported. Or maybe more specifically, when I could feel that my values were no longer being reflected back to me by the people around me. And I think this is something a lot of people, I'm sure even here live, are feeling right now within their communities and within their friendship groups. While it's not essential that you have people in your life that think more the same way you do, it certainly is helpful, especially when you are seeing things changing so fast. I mean, you're seeing when you look at what's happening in Canada and how quickly things are devolving there, it can feel very unsettling, right? And so I would say, and I'll talk more about this when I'm ready. This has been a huge life change for us, and it hasn't been a decision that we made quickly or lightly. It really, we took it in stages, and that's, if you are somebody who's considering a big change right now because you can sense where things are going, maybe you sensed them like me years ago, and you're right at that gate, you're right at that point of making like a decision, like you're right there. I don't think it's wise to just make a decision really fast as things are changing so fast. I think you really want to feel into, again, come back to your values. What are your core values? And are you able to continue living your values if you stay. And leaving isn't the answer. Leaving isn't the path for everybody, right? I do believe that if you are somebody staying true to your values, this is very important right now, and it's not too late. I really want to emphasize this. If you've made decisions in the last 2 years specifically where you have not made a decision that was truly honoring your core values and what you know is true, that's okay. You're going to be given another opportunity to do that and to bring that back in line. But if you have maintained integrity in that area and you've held that line, as we say, where you have not allowed your values to be collapsed to meet something outside of you, then I do believe that there's a hedge of protection around you, and God will open doors for you. There will be paths created, and they might not necessarily mean a path out of the country. It might look different than what you're anticipating right now. I can tell you, even for us right now, this was not something I ever saw happening 2 years ago. But what started to happen is God just continued to light up the path that we were meant to take. And what was most important along the way is that when I felt God speaking to me, when I felt prompted to speak myself, when I felt prompted to take an action, when I felt prompted to move, I did. I always honor those promptings. And I think that's really the key thing is when you know you need to do something, then you need to act. Because it's not just about praying your way out of a situation, right? It's really our actions and our decisions become our prayer. Through that, we are stepping into that next path, right? So that's a really important piece of changing the course. No. Holly Dolly. She said, wait, people are leaving the country because of pro-choice and pro-life. I'm imagining you're new here. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay, next question. I'm feeling overwhelmed and I want to make some changes, but I don't know where to start. Do you have any tips? Yes, I love this question because we all feel this way, right? At times. I feel this way at times too, for sure. I think the best thing to do when you're feeling just that state of overwhelm, usually that's a sign that you're taking too much info in. Maybe you're looking at the news, and I mean, I've been here. I know exactly how that feels. To just feel like you don't know where to look first because you're just looking at everything out there and you don't feel like you can actually get focused on a plan, right? So the most important thing I feel when you're feeling that way is to focus on, break it right down. What is something small that you can control and impact very quickly? Just start building that momentum. Even if it's something as simple as cleaning a kitchen drawer or organizing a closet. So I have an ebook that I created last year. It's called The Seasonal Scrub. And this is meant to help in those situations when you're just feeling this total life overwhelm. And personally, I find I feel this way 2 to 3 times a year, where it's just everything's feeling congested and I need to scrub it all and get things moving in this direction that I want to take things. And so anyway, what I was wanting to share with you guys is, if you did purchase that seasonal scrub in the last year, you'll be getting an email from me soon. I want to do some challenges around this because I think that a lot of us are feeling this way, where life has been heavy. It's been really heavy. And we want to get a feeling of being back on track, right? And usually when things are really overwhelmed, we've allowed too many areas to become congested or even bloated, right? So for example, it was a very freeing feeling. I went back to Canada about a little over a month ago to basically sell 95% of our life. Our house just went on the market this week, and that was a very interesting situation to find myself in, where it was our life in all of these belongings, and to actually get to a point of clarity, realizing like that does not make a home. That does not make a life. That is not who I am. That is not who we are. We are where home is together, right? And when you look at all the stuff that we end up collecting, and stuff can bottle up in so many areas of our life. I mean, so in the seasonal scrub workbook, what I take you through are various categories of your life where we tend to have this congestion. And when we have that congestion in that one area, it tends to affect the whole area. How many of you know what I mean? Sometimes, I don't know if this is something unique to me or not. I don't think it is, but I, for example, cannot go to bed at night if the kitchen is a mess. It's not about having things look a certain way. It's really, for me, it's a process of feeling grateful for my home, grateful to take care of my home, and wanting my home to reflect that it's not things everywhere. That to me reflects me not being present with things. And it also reflects, like, when that's happening, that I have way too much congestion, right? So just at the simple act of cleaning the kitchen and having everything put away nicely before we go to bed helps me sleep deeper. It just affects everything. In fact, I can't really sit and do creative work in my office, even with a door closed, if I know there's congestion happening in these other areas of our life. So it all, I feel, plays a role. And when we bring everything back into harmony and clear that congestion, then we really start moving. Then things start to just have more ease. You actually, when you're not in a distracted state, and keep in mind, part of the problem many people have found themselves in the last 2 years, and the reason they haven't been able to take action in the way that they're wanting, is because there is an agenda to keep you distracted. We all need to realize this, right? When you're in a distracted state, if you're numbed out by the media or by TV or movies, or just feeling overwhelmed in life because you have too much going on, when you're in that state of complete distraction, you can't think clearly, and you can't make clear decisions from that place. You can't take meaningful actions forward, right? And it is working. If you can keep people distracted, there's a lot of things that you can fly, like, you know, I'll come back to Canada here. So there's things happening in Canada that quite a few Canadians don't seem to understand the severity of. Two things I'll share with you are happening right now there. The first one I shared earlier, I was mentioning a VPN on here. I think it's really important, especially for you Canadians, to invest in a virtual private network right now, because the Canadian government has a bill that has passed through the House of Commons. This was either the second or the third time they have tried to pass it, and this time it went through, and now it's going before Senate. Bill C-11, if you want to look it up, if it passes in Canada, the government will be, and again, the jury's out right now on how much control they're going to have here. They're trying to make it seem like it's a good thing for Canadians, which, okay. But basically they're going to be censoring the internet, censoring it both ways. What you as a Canadian are able to access, and what you as a content creator in Canada are able to publish. If the Canadian government deems that what you're trying to access or produce is not to their liking, it will not be allowed to be accessed or posted. You can read all about this. So that's happening. The second thing that I think a lot of you know, because this really went worldwide within a couple of days, is they just announced a few days ago that Canadians are going to need to have the special sauce every 9 months. That they will never be fully V'd, and that that will be a requirement. So the reason I brought these two things up is I was saying just now that if you can keep people in a distracted state, you're effectively lulling people to sleep. And the reason that you're seeing Canadians not respond to this like you would expect someone to respond to is because they have been so worn down, so beat down, or just so lulled to sleep that you actually see them defending the country. I've seen people in the last few weeks that have at some point been peers of mine who are proud of their country. So it just, I mean, there's a couple things happening there. There is a big mixed bag of values happening in the country. Not everybody shares the same values, right? But there's also a lot of people that are very distracted. And I'm not beating up on Canada. It's just they're making it really easy to use the country as a template for how this happens. Because Canada, up until all of this began a couple of years ago, and I won't use buzzwords here, but they would have been considered a beautiful, free, peacekeeping country, right? So it's been remarkable to watch what's gone on there. Okay. After you get life settled, Ange, any hope for more podcasts? I miss listening to them when I walk. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably upload this as a podcast. I think I've tried to, well, we've had so much going on, which a lot of you can relate to, that I've been very careful not to commit myself to any kind of anything beyond my family, because that has definitely been my highest priority right now is just navigating this together, and we're doing great. But I didn't want to commit to anything outside of that. But yeah, I'm sure I go through phases where it's like, there's 3 podcasts and then I won't be on for like a month. But I am going to do, so I have the Beautiful Life Lab quarterly session this Sunday, so I won't be on. But the following Sunday, I am going to do a summer kit class where I'm going to break down for you guys. I created this Doterra Summer Kit. I don't know if you saw it a few days ago, which has the new Sunscreen Products, which are so amazing. I want to talk about that in a second. But then a couple of other products I put in there too, and I'm going to do like a live class. So not this Sunday, but the following one. Missed the Sunday copy dates. Yeah, I love those. I guess we're kind of doing that right now, aren't we? So the new sunscreen products are amazing, you guys. I'm typically not a sunscreen wearer. I love the sun. I love the sun. Personally, here's my perspective. I've done a lot of reading and research and personal experience in the sun. I think it's crucial that we have about 20 minutes a day of sun on our skin without block. Now, there are times of day that are better. In fact, the earlier the better that you can be outside. Really good. In fact, you can help connect your circadian rhythm to get it back on track by getting sun, even on your eyeballs. Have you guys heard of this? That this actually helps you sleep deeper at night. If you aren't wearing sunglasses and you get out in the sun in the early morning, it actually can help to reset your circadian rhythm. So I definitely encourage you, and I personally get about 20 to 30 minutes. Sometimes I'll break it up, like I'll go out in the morning for 10 to 15 minutes and then I'll go out later in the afternoon, no block on. But then if we're going down to the beach, we're going to be down there for an hour or two, you definitely want to be wearing sunscreen, right? So these products, you guys, they are, they're so good. They go on beautifully. They're mineral sunscreens. They have essential oils in them, just gorgeous ingredients. So anyway, join me for class in like 2 weeks and I'll go through more about the products. They're really great. Are unvied Canadians able to get into the States now? Negative, no. But I will say that driving across the border is working for many, many people. So you probably want to get yourself into some of the Facebook groups. If you just search on Facebook, there's so many out there. I can't even think of, I know we've got some people on who are in some of these groups. So type them out if you guys don't mind. I don't like to say things because sometimes there's words that get picked up and then this gets censored. So anyway, I would do a little looking around on Facebook. You'll find some groups and there's a lot of people having success. Oh, I want to read this comment. So a lot of you are commenting on the sun line. Alicia said, this is awkward, but if you can go out naked first thing in the morning, it's supposed to be amazing too. But make sure you live somewhere super private. Yes, and there's a few people I follow who do this almost every day where they legs up in the air, naked in the sun. It apparently has wonderful benefits to the body. Yeah, Canada had a nationwide server failure. I'm sure people have heard. Yes, still going on from what I understand, right? Which is crazy. Nadia said Rainbow Bridge and Sarnia border are good to give a go. Nice. I've heard that too. Okay, next question. If we are stuck in Canada, what should be our next move to prepare for what is to come? I mean, there might be some reframing that needs to happen. I think that if you feel you're stuck, it's going to affect your outlook in being able to really make this work. Like I said before, I do think that if it was meant for you to be leaving the country, there would be some things that would have come your way, whether it be pursuing dual citizenship. Maybe you have family who are from other countries, Europe, the US. That would be wise to pursue that. I'm a big fan of having dual citizenship. If you are a student or and you could apply for a student visa, or you have a specific skill and you could apply for a work visa, I would be pursuing that right now. Just, give that a shot to see what the options are. There are also quite a few countries where coming into the US, for example, is really involved. But there are other countries like Mexico where it's usually an investment that you're making, or being able to show that you make a certain amount per year. So I would definitely be exploring what that could look like. But if there hasn't been anything that has become clear to you in the last year, I would say, as a path to explore, then maybe you are meant to stay where you are right now and to reframe and not feel like you're stuck, but just to look at where else you can bring your life more into alignment with your values, right? So if you're looking at what's happening in Canada right now, and let's say you're a parent and you have kids who are in the public school system, if you're sensing that this is an area where you feel the government is going to be overstepping this fall, then I would be having some real honest conversations in your home about what it would look like to pull your kids out of the system. I think, and I'm just using that as an example. That's obviously not something that every family can do, but that is one area where people start to feel a little more expansion, where they feel, okay, I can breathe a little bit more now because I don't have to worry about what announcement I'm going to wake up to tomorrow regarding my kids. And unfortunately, a lot of parents right now they're at that gate now where they are going to be called on to make it very clear what their values are. And if they are committed to protecting their children from, and again, this isn't how everybody feels, right? So if you feel this way, then you want to start taking some steps and have conversations right now to release that pressure valve. Yes, micro schools or pod schools are the way to go. Julie over on Facebook just opened it up. If anyone's in Niagara area, you can message her. And I mean, I love when you guys just open that conversation up in the comments, which is why it's always fun to be on these things live. So there are a lot of these different groups and things that have formed that make it easier for you to find more families that, again, share your values, right? So I think a lot of you have been doing this over the last year to 2 years, where you have found more people that reflect back to you your values. And this is why a lot of friendships and relationships have dissolved, is because the last 2 years have clarified what everyone's values are. Okay? And not everyone's living their values either. Like I said, some people are living their B-sides. And there's a lot of dissonance that's been created for them because of that, because they have not, answered the bell. Like when it came, they buckled, and they ended up honoring something that wasn't most important to them. Please restore my faith in the world. Well, I can't do that because people are going to let you down, but I do think this is as best a time as any to start exploring your relationship with God, because the world is going to continue to let you down. People are going to continue letting you down too, if that's where you're hooking your faith onto, right? So this is a beautiful time for all of us to really reflect on where we have assigned, too much power to people, where we've put people on pedestals, what has been an idol in each of our lives. I mean, I think that that's definitely been brought to the surface for all of us. What's something that we were given too much attention to, or maybe something that we just, Chris and I were talking about this the other day. There were things in our life that were just kind of meh, like we knew it wasn't as good as it could be. And I'm not going to be specific here, but there were just things that were like meh, like we were just kind of cashing it in. We weren't really like making it the best it could be in that area, right? And that's what we looked at changing up. But the last 2 years has also for us as a family too, like I have to be honest with you, like I have lost my taste for so many things. Like I only want truth. My heart hungers for that. I've never felt closer to God because of that, because I just love the heart of God. There's so much in this world that has turned me off and turned me away from it. And I'm grateful for that, truly. But I say that because I just want to encourage you to think about that yourself. Like our faith will not be restored in this world. In fact, it's going to feel like it's getting a lot darker. Okay, some of these I've answered. Can you teach us how to set up a VPN? So it's actually quite easy. So ExpressVPN, I have a promo code for you guys. If you go to, I'll just type it in here, wholefit.com/time-saving tools. I have a link there for you where you can get 3 months free. So if you use ExpressVPN, that's the one we use, and we've been using it now for almost 2 years. And what you do is you basically download it and you pay for how many devices you want it to be set up on. So if you want it to have it on a couple of phones in the house and maybe your desktop computer, then you set it up that way, and you basically get a download with a code. And it's pretty cool because what you do is you go onto that, you click, it's downloaded onto your device or your desktop, and you click it to open it up, and you select what country or city in a country you want the VPN to show as your IP address on your computer. So when we were in Canada, we had it linked up to show that we were in Miami, Florida. And, obviously things like Bill C11 weren't in process when we started on the VPN. I did that for different reasons, but I think it's smart for everybody to have a VPN in this day and age for sure, just protect yourself and your browsing. But if you live in Canada, then that's definitely something you'll want to be looking into. So it's very easy to do. Once you get it downloaded, you click on it, and you don't always have to be on your VPN. You can turn it on and off. How are you able to fly out of Canada after you sold your house? I'm a dual citizen, so that kind of bypasses all the mandates, which is why I'm saying it's really important to have a second citizenship if you do have that option available to you. If you have someone in your lineage, in your family, who is from another country, see if that might be something that you can secure for yourself, because I don't know. I mean, I think it's smart to always have that plan B. I'm certainly very grateful to have it. How to get motivated again. We've kind of talked about that. I think just starting small is important. What part of Florida are you in? We're in South Florida. What do you use as an alternative to an afterbite? I don't know what that means. How do you find balance between activism and prepping versus finding peace? Well, so I come from a philosophy of the more prepared, the better. You may have heard the saying, if you're prepared, you won't be scared. So I personally feel that way. My confidence is highest, when I'm most prepared for something. And that might be even the learner in me, right? So I think you have to know yourself. You have to know whether something is going to cost you your peace in exploring. So for example, not everybody should be going down every rabbit hole, right? Like there are things that every person needs to know what their limit is. And you know, for a lot of people, just going on social media every day is a constant battle for their peace, right? So they've stepped away from it. A lot of people have just pulled out of that altogether because every time they go on, it just triggers something for them, right? Or they feel like their peace is being attacked. And I think you have to, it is a balance for sure. Personally, if I think, Chris and I were talking about this earlier today, it was just like, think of all the things that have happened over the last 2 years and how the first time it happened, it was like, right? And then you kind of, okay. And then, and you're just doing that constantly. It has felt like that, hasn't it? I mean, these are wild times. And, you know, especially if you've made some big life changes through this, where, you know, I think I have found even in my nervous system lately, just, it is work. It is an effort for me to just, because I have felt like I've had to stay so up here for the last 2 years, most of the last 2 years of just like, what now? Like you're getting up every day. What now? So, my capacity has grown a lot, which I'm grateful to God for. There are things I look at now and I can digest them way better than I could have digested them 2 years ago. Now, there were things that I was sharing 2 years ago here with you guys, if you were around then, that I was and had been digesting. And, you know, when I look back at that, I don't know that that was very responsible of me to be sharing things as early as I was. I remember getting messages from people like, I don't know if I can handle this, right? And I think part of our work right now is to be aware enough and prepared enough, but not to allow it to become us, and not to be in some kind of state of being with that, because that is a sure way to steal our peace. So I think you have to take things sometimes in phases, and only bite off what you know you need at the time in order to make the best decisions. And sometimes the best decision is to not do any form of activism at all, not to be looking at anything, and just to pull your kids in and zip that household up and protect your house from what is going on. Does that make sense? Like I don't think it's a good thing to always be looking for the next thing that's happening. Although many of us, and I have felt this way, have felt unsafe. We have felt like, what today? Like, and I have felt so disappointed at times with the way things were going, and just feeling like I wished more people cared about the things that I cared about. But what it ultimately pushed me to do was to come to a place of saying, okay, now what? So not everyone cares about the same things I care about. What am I going to do about it? And that's that invitation to come into complete ownership of our life. And that's when I always experience God showing up the most, is when I am willing to take forward action with whatever way I'm being directed and guided, and just staying true to my principles and my values as much as I can along the way. And I think, so I also think we all play a different role in these times too. There, like I mentioned the word capacity earlier. Through various things that have happened in my life, especially when I was younger, my capacity was stretched then to be able to take things in and to understand them, and then to be in service to people as they are navigating them too. This is my heart, is to continually strive to reach higher, so that I can continue to help in whatever way I can. I've loved going to the ocean lately. I was sharing that earlier this week. I love watching the tide come in. There's something so powerful about that. Being near the ocean, period, feels just so powerful to me. But and lately I have felt so drawn to being in nature, because it's through that we really understand the heart of our Creator. I don't worship nature. I worship the Creator that made nature. But being in the frequency of nature, the ocean, the sun, drinking clean water, fruit, just being in the space of that, I believe is going to be very important as this artificial intelligence agenda continues to play out. And actually, as you're seeing people become somewhat lulled to sleep, almost like they're robotic, like they're losing sense of what's actually happening. They don't seem to have that discernment. It's because they've been somewhat inhabited by this artificial intelligence. And I know this sounds wonky if you're just joining in right now, but you have to know my heart and where I'm coming from. I think it is so important to be close to what is true, like the true. It's like, think of the true light of the sun versus the false light of a lamp, a light bulb, right? There's a completely different situation and frequency going on. And I was mentioning the ocean just a few minutes ago, and just watching that tide come in. And I was thinking the other day, when that tide comes in and that first wave comes in crashing, because the tide is about to rise. And that first wave comes in, and it's like, it shows the rest of the waves what's possible when it's like trying to climb up that sand wall, right? And it's just, there's something so true about that right now. And there's, some of you are being tapped on the heart right now to be that person that reaches higher when other people can't see their way out. It is so important. And this is why I say we all play a role. And I think, coming back to this question, how do you find that balance between activism and prepping and not losing your peace? There will be times where you will feel invigorated around a message and a direction because you're meant to do it. You're able to digest what's happening and to turn it into something. And that's really important. And that's not everyone's call. That's not everyone's call. And so if you find you get overwhelmed by everything going on in the state of the world, that's okay. Take a step back. It's maybe just not your time to take that in. But you will have the strength to deal with situations as they arise. You will. All right, total change of topic here. When you first started Doterra, how did you stay hyper-focused until money followed? Interesting question, because I'm going to be honest with you. When I start anything, I don't start it for the end goal. I've typically been successful in things that I've done in my life, but it was never about success as the way people might define success, like money. So when I think about Doterra specifically, and to be honest, this is still the same for me today, which is why I love this work so much. I love helping people. I love being able to say to somebody, I think you should really give XYZ a try. I can really feel that you're going to have success with that there. And to give somebody that hope, but not only hope, to give them actual tools that help them connect back to themselves and to really help them feel more on track with their healing and their journey and their health goals. I love that. It just totally lights me up. So Doterra was, it really felt like a homecoming for me when I started this work, because prior to that, it was that missing piece for me. Now, what it became was unexpected. Like I love bringing people together. I loved bringing people into a home and having conversations about our health and how we can be more empowered. I love that. But what happened through that was unexpected. And that's really how it grew to be what it is. I didn't anticipate this connective tissue that would form between people, and how there were so many people out there interested in the same things as I was. And I loved experiencing that for the first time. But nothing makes me happier today in my work than helping somebody get started with the oils, because they are, of all the things I have in my home, in my life, and I have access to a lot of different things if I wanted it, they are the most meaningful products and tools in my life, hands down. So anyway, I just think it's better to start from that place of like, why do you want to help people? Because that's the only thing that's going to keep you going. I mean, I've been doing Doterra now for almost 10 years, and I love it as much today as I did then. And I've seen so many people come and go, right? Especially in the last 2 years. And that's, I've just allowed that to, I mean, I'm totally cool with that, because this wasn't the same path for them that it has been for me. Maybe it was something different for them at the time when they joined, and now they're off to something else, and that's okay. Right? So anyway, I think you just have to figure out what your reason is for doing work like this, and it will never lose its joy if you're coming at it from that place, I think. All right, let's do one or two more with people on live. Got about 100 people on here. Hey guys, so does Canada have internet yet or what? Let me scroll back up here. Lots of great comments here as I've been chatting. Let's do this. Let's just drop a question at the very bottom, because I don't want to scroll back up through the comments here. What's on your minds tonight? I think there's a delay. Some of you, I'm still getting comments that don't quite fit what I'm saying right now, but, oh, Rogers is still down. Wow. So many people in Canada woke up today without internet and phone and still don't have it. Interesting. This is a real good, I keep using the word invitation, but for lack of a better, this is a good invitation for a lot of us to look at, okay, so am I okay when and if that happens, right? So if you had a stash of cash today, you were okay. I know credit cards still worked. Rumors are it'll be out till Monday. Wow. So this is affecting a lot more than even just that. I've heard Pearson Airport is now a nightmare. They canceled the concert at the Rogers Center tonight because of it. Like there's all these ripple effects that have happened because of it, right? What should be our main focuses to prepare for what's to come? I would just focus on, again, small steps. I have a guide that I created. Let me post it to the chat here. I have code words built in that type out links. There we go. wholefit.com/blog/the prepped home. I would have a look through that and just see what resonates with you. What's an area of your life that you feel like you might need to be a little more solid in? Again, this is different for everybody. So I don't think, you can say there's one key area, but if I was to pick one, I would think like if your ability to access the essentials in life went away for a week or two, would you be okay? And number one is water. Have a plan for water, because you can go quite a lot longer without food than you can without water or access to it. And there's varying degrees. A lot of people will just, over time and working within their budget, will slowly start to do a little more of a stock up on essentials so that there's not this freak out happening, right? So what's happening today in Canada, right? There's a freak out happening. There's lineups outside of Starbucks for people to get onto the Wi-Fi. You can't even get in the doors of some Starbucks because people are all surrounded all outside the doors. There's tons of people trying to get cash out, and they're lineups at the bank, right? So all this stuff going on. And so it just sets this panic in motion. How can you be somebody that can just like hunker down in times like this and not be affected by it? Can you please let me know what Bible you use? Yeah, I don't have it here in my office, but it's by She Reads Truth, and I really like it. I have it linked up in my Healthy Home shop if you want to have a look at it. Hey, Ryan, I'm ready to move to America. I do love it here. I do love it here. Not everywhere in America is the same. All the states kind of run like their own country here. So you really want to, again, find a place that reflects your values. All right. Well, we've been going for a little while now. Nice to connect with you guys. And if you're in the lab, the Beautiful Life Lab, I'll see you hopefully in our Zoom room this Sunday. What else do I want to mention? Seasonal scrub. If you had purchased that workbook already, watch from an email from me next week. I'm going to do some challenges around cleaning up our life. If you want to purchase the ebook, it's $33. And I'm going to be creating a Facebook group for it. We're going to do some challenges around the various categories of our life that we can clean up at this time and just really help prepare us for that next season. I think this is a very important time to be clearing things up, because as we are planting new seeds, it's important that we're in a good position as we do that, right? My voice is going, so that is my cue. But the one other thing I mentioned tonight was custom Doterra kits. If you're wanting to get started with Doterra, I love creating these. I've been kind of on a roll doing that all this week, so I'd love to create one for you. If you've been wanting to start with Doterra, you can go to holfit.com/custom kit. And someone just asked me for the link to the seasonal scrub. I'll post that here too. I'm so impressed with myself that I remember all of my little code words. This is something I teach in the lab, so you're not typing long things out all the time. So I've been pretty on the ball tonight with my code words. All right, you guys. I hope you're all doing okay through all of this. Not just okay, but just coming closer and closer to fully being who you are here to be. That's my message to you tonight. That's what's on my heart. And I think this is just continuous work right now as things continue to happen, that we just keep answering the call to stay true and to keep it clean. Just keep it clean. Keep on the path, keep holding the line, no matter where you are. You're contributing on a grand scale to more people doing that. So thank you. You all know who you are. And welcome to all of you that are beginning this work. All right. I'll see you when I see you. Bye for now, guys.